All right, this week's video is what's your headcanon? And by this question, what I mean is if you're an MMO player or someone that plays open world games with a created character, you probably have some kind of story in your mind that goes with your character. So let's go over it and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's get a little bit into detail. What's your character story that you have in your mind? So by this, I kind of mean like you have to have some type of idea of who your character is. Was it influenced by somebody historical? Was it influenced by somebody fictional? Is it based upon you? There's a lot that goes into character creation. There's also people that just randomize their characters. But I know me, I'm very detailed in what I do with my characters. I've got four of them. They all have some type of headcanon and story, and I'm going to share that with you. And well, I'm going to keep talking, and what I want is I want you guys at the end, I'm going to talk about it, but I want your feedback, and I want pages and pages of comments on your characters. All right? My four characters, they have a story, and I'm going to break down each one of them, and I'm going to give you their short little story. I'm going to tell you what was their inspiration, how I play them, what they're about. I'm going to give you some detail on it, all right? So let's get a little bit into my four characters. All right, so the first one we're going to get into is my native Burning Trout. So Burning Trout he has been inspired by so many different historical Native Americans. Fictional, we're going to go with The Last of the Mohegans. He's based on Shinnecock, if I said it right, and Uncas. He's also based quite a bit on the actual character of Sitting Bull and Geronimo. So I've got this story in my head that he was a fierce warrior and he's stealthy and he's got, good combat skills, and that's how I foresee him, and that's what I've made with him, and I've kind of have this story in my mind every time I play him, and he's inspired very highly by The Last of the Mohegans. So that's Burning Trout. All right, my next character is Kayla Co. She is, in my mind, her headcanon is she is the sister to Keiko, and she's inspired. She's inspired by some frontier women of colonial times. I didn't. I'm gonna level with you and say that I didn't really know much about frontier women, and I had to kind of look it up because I wanted to stick with the mountain man and the Indian fighter. So what I found was, and I was very inspired by this when I made her, is Mad Ann Bailey. So Ann Bailey she was a scout and an Indian fighter for the colonists, and I think her husband was, I think he died from what I remember, but she was a fierce fighter and she fought a lot of Native Americans, and she's got a deep story to her, and I think she was married to, I think it was a Virginia militiaman, if I remember correctly, and he died from what I remember, and she was left with her. She left her son with her neighbor, and I think she went right into the war, American Revolution, and became a scout. So she's got a lot of frontiersman inspiration, and I think her husband was the guy she ended up marrying was a frontier and a ranger, and she learned a lot from him. Her second marriage, so she's got quite a history, and I based Kayla on her. So check her out. I didn't probably give you the best of stories on Mad Ann Bailey, but definitely check her out. There's some good books out there. All right, so this next one, she doesn't have much gameplay, but it's Wandering Knight. She is my Native American warrior. I guess I should say Native. I keep saying Native American. You're going to hear me say that a lot because that's just how I see them. But she is based upon a fictional character, most likely. She came from the inspiration from Sokonon from the Frontier Show with Jason Momoa. Sokonon was one of the coolest characters about that show. Just a badass chick that was very, very much the inspiration for Wandering Knight. She uses a bow. She fights really well. She was one of the highlights of the show. Jason Momoa's character was really good too. oddly enough, that whole show is based on the Hudson Bay trading. So I don't know how much that's all a real thing. So I don't know how much of that was part of inspiration from the games. I don't think they were connected, but they're based on real stuff. So Wandering Night is based on her. She's just one of the coolest chicks in that show, and I really thought like her character was pretty awesome. So as much as I wanted to do a Pocahontas character. I mean, she's got Wandering Night has a little bit of Pocahontas, but she's more soaking on from the Frontier show, so she doesn't get much use. But I do stuff with her here and there. But anyway, that is Wandering Night. All right, I guess this is the one you've been waiting for. My main character, Kay Co, and you guys have probably seen me around. I see a lot of you. So Keiko is based upon some of my inspirations from colonial and American history. He is also based upon myself. He is inspired by me. He, I play him like he's me. So I am very passive. I have been inspired by some of the frontiersmen of colonial times. So Keiko is based upon Daniel Boone. He's also based upon Davy Crockett. And one of my favorite people through colonial American history, uh, Daniel Morgan, who led Morgan's Riflemen during the Revolution through South Carolina. And I guess the last inspiration would be the Swamp Fox, Francis Marion, another inspiration through colonial, especially on the south side. So Keiko is based upon all of them. You know, he tries to imitate that Davy Crockett look, but Davy Crockett didn't really wear a coonskin hat. Either did Daniel Boone. That's more of a TV show thing from the Disney show. But I went with it because it just feels right. So I definitely like my Kentucky Rifles and my Tomahawks, which are pretty much they're frontiersmen. So Keiko again, he's based upon those characters, and he's also myself. So that's how I play it, and that's Keiko, and he's me, based on those characters. All right, so that's this week's video. Before I let you guys go, I want feedback on this video. I want your headcanon. I want your character stories. I want long posts with details on who your characters are, what they were inspired by, and how you play them. So go ahead and leave me a wall of text because that's what I want. And I think that it's going to give you guys some good view of how you play your characters. And I think I got some inspiration from the HBC the other night. They were, they were RPing their characters in a way that made me realize that there's a lot of headcanon in this game. And I want to hear you guys' headcanon, how you see your stories. You've heard my stories, you know how I play, and then I want to hear yours. So that's this week's video, and I hope to catch you guys next week. All right, thanks again for everything you guys do. All right, catch you later.